Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Eric's Rant. As I always say, I'm just another loudmouth with an opinion. So whether you like it or not, here it goes. Now I know what you're all thinking. Eric, what the devil do you have to complain about? Your Philadelphia Phillies are in the World Series. Your 76ers are actually figuring out how to play together. And your Philadelphia Eagles are the only undefeated team in the entire NFL. What do you have to complain about? Well, here's the thing. You see, my man, number 11, Mr. A.J. Brown, had 3 touchdowns yesterday, almost had 4. And how is he shown respect? How is he shown any praise? He was drug tested by the NFL. Really? Really? This is what we're going to do now. So because my Philadelphia Eagles are 7-0, the last team in the NFL, I'm sorry that the Green Bay Packers or the Tampa Bay Buccaneers or the Los Angeles Chargers or the Cincinnati Bengals or the Super Bowl champion Los Angeles Rams aren't where you expected them to be, but because my team is undefeated and my team is consistent and my team is beating up on people, oh, something must be out of place. That's what we're going to do? Really? NFL, Roger Goodell, you need to be ashamed of yourself. Thank you, fellas, for letting me get that out the way. Good evening, everybody, and welcome into the Sports Arena on a Monday night. Of course, I'm your man, Eric Wilson, alongside my brother, Blue Hawk 13, John Shear, my co-host, Ray Lynn, the sports reporter without pay, and my man on the left coast, the West Coast, Mike Carrottenuto. Forks up, baby. Gentlemen, good evening to you. Whew, I just had to get that off my chest. Thank you.
Hey man, Mike was in the back. He said drug testing bums. That's what he said. He said
I'm
he ain't
sure.
got no.
I'm sure he did.
Eric,
I'm sure he did.
nothing, man. See, he's just trying to
Sure
start.
he did. I'm sure he did. Because that's what Mike thought.
Eric,
Mike,
it's the NFL, man, and it's funny because that's in the comments from Denzel, and literally, like, to me, it's funny that it came out because there's guys a lot of times, especially back in the day, that they got tipped off. They knew they were gonna get tested, but I said nothing of the sort, man. He's just trying to start arguments.
well, it's that time of year when Mike, easy things that come out of your mouth will probably rile me up. But you know what? Let's get to the show tonight. Let us start this evening, as we do here on the Sports Arena, with our peak performers of the week. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, is our Sports Arena performers of the week. John Shear, I'm going to go first, sir. Who is your performer of the week, sir?
Yeah, I mean, my performer of the week has to be Tony Pollard. Tony Pollard was absolutely there. He is, that man. He should be the starting running back in Dallas. If you haven't seen this guy, if you haven't seen his stats, he's averaging over 6 yards a carry. I believe it's 6.2 a carry, which is among the highest in the league for running backs. I mean, Lamar Jackson is top of the league among anybody, but it's got to be Tony Pollard. I mean, he's absolutely been sensational. He looks way better than Zeke. He's looked better than Zeke last year, looks better than Zeke this year. It's nothing against Zeke. I love Zeke's game, but Tony Pollard just looks like the better back. The team looks better with him. Like, I feel like Dak doesn't feel like he has to do too much when Pollard's in there because he knows Pollard can tote the rock 20, 25 times a game, and Dak can be efficient enough to throw 25 times a game, and they can win games just like they did yesterday, put up a lot of points. Tony Pollard's got to be mine. I mean, if you haven't seen Tony Pollard, man, Mike, you know all about Tony Pollard. Like, he's better than Zeke, and if they make him the full-time running back and they giving him the ball like that yesterday, I mean, that offense is like one of the best in the league if they do that. But Kellen Moore's got a big ego, so I don't see that happening.
All right. Well, I'll go to my man, Mike Carrottenuto. Mike, who is your performer of the week, sir?
Man, I'm going with Mr. I finally found a spot with Pete Carroll can't coach anymore. Geno Smith right there, man. And like we always say, raise your hands if you had him number one in in completion percentage before the season started. Everybody raise your hands who did, because if you are, Eric, like you always say, put him down, you're lying, because nobody had that. Look, I'm happy for Geno Smith. I was mad at him when he broke when Ding Dong McAdoo broke Eli Manning's streak and started Geno Smith. Want to see what we have in Geno Smith. But look, man, journeyman or not, he is better than a backup. And look, even though they're winning right now, Eric, I look at it like this. The year Geno Smith's had, the way he's hitting those receivers, I mean, he hit, Lockett in a face mask yesterday, and Lockett gets credit for a drop. That ball dropped down in his eye. When they say in his eye hole, like we always say, Eric, it dropped down right there. Geno Smith's playing great ball. And tell me Cleveland wouldn't like to have Geno Smith right now while waiting for Deshaun Watson.
You're not wrong.
You are not wrong, sir. You are not wrong whatsoever. So you know where I'm going with this because I just talked about him in my rant. Yeah, my peak performer is the one and the only Eagles wide receiver, A.J. Brown. Quite frankly, that's what happens when you go out and actually do something right, Howie Roseman. But listen, the brother was 6'4", 156 yards, 3 touchdowns. I mean, when Jalen Hurts can throw and do the exact same play, not once but twice, and you have 2 defenders on A.J. Brown, and he still comes down in the end zone with that ball, and then he does get that taunting call, which, listen, I get it. I understand. I'll take the 15 yards because bottom line is this. You couldn't stop the play that happened previously, so we're going to run the same play again and put up 7 more points on the board, and y'all still couldn't figure it out? Like, come on, man, cut it out. But, yes, there's no question about it. What this man has done for this team, you know, you look at what he has done for Philadelphia. You look at what some other wide receivers have done for their respective teams. If owners and GMs don't realize what we already know, this is a win now league. You construct your team together. As my man Ray says, you find them complementary pieces to make yourself a full meal. And guess what? You go out there and handle your business. But A.J. Brown clearly, by far, is my performer of the week. So let me
Eric,
go. Yes, sir.
Eric, hold on. Those weren't just 3 touchdowns by A.J. Brown. Those were 3 grown man touchdowns. Like, that's not just, Patrick Mahomes throwing goofy 1-yard touchdowns. Those were grown man touchdowns by A.J. Brown.
Stop doing that.
He bullied those guys. No. He bullied those guys in the end zone.
You still throwing shade on Patrick Mahomes, and I'm not going to let you do that.
Can I throw shade on John real quick?
Fitzpatrick's still crying.
Hey, Eric, let me throw shade on John real quick. Look, I do love Tony Pollard. You're right. But I said it to Ray Lynn off the air in the beginning of the season. Remember after the show we were talking about it? Less is more for Zeke. We learned that last year when he was banged up, but against the Chargers when Pollard had a good game. Against the Eagles, and it became prime there. It wasn't prime yesterday because Roquan Smith wanted to get to Baltimore as fast as he could. But Pollard can't block like Zeke. And Eric knows that. The second interception, Cooper Rush got killed, and then he got killed again later against the Eagles. Now, it hasn't shown up against it didn't show up against many other teams. Pollard, you can't have in there blocking, John. Yes.
But if you're right, he needs to touch the ball 6.2 a clip.
He needs to touch the ball 15 times a game at least. I agree with you, but I'm just saying, if you need to block, you're not putting Pollard back there. He's going to get killed. He's going to get killed and get Dak killed. I'm just saying. I love the guy, but I'm saying when you look at all-round games, Zeke needs to be in there to block. Eric wants Pollard in there to block, but Zeke needs to be in there to block.
Hey, Mike, I will say this, right? If you're a head coach, if you're a GM, and you're looking at 2 guys, and the best case you can make for one guy is, man, he sure can block. That don't bode well for him. I don't have a horse in this race.
Right. It's not the best argument. I'm just saying in certain situations, you at least need to have him in there to chip and get those passes in the flat that he's been successful with Dak. Like you said, in the beginning with that offensive line, it was different. I know it's not a Cowboy show, Eric. I'm just saying you need a balance of both. But I was with you guys last year. Tony Pollard needs 15 to 20 touches a game, and that's not debatable, but you still can feed Zeke. That's not the best thing I have. I'm just saying when you need to get the ball downfield, you need extra time. You need your best blockers in there, especially against defenses that are coming to kill you that they're going to face.
All right. Let me get to Ray. Ray talking about his performer of the week. Sir, the floor is yours.
Man, listen, y'all remember in the offseason when everybody thought Jonathan Taylor was the best running back in the game and Christian McCaffrey's nice and Saquon Barkley and Nick Chubb, and somebody is playing like, oh, y'all must have forgot. Don't worry, I got it. Because I think this man took it personally. I think he took it personally. Like he sat back and looked and said, y'all really forgot who I am. Like, have y'all seen his last 4 games? I think the first 2 games he had, first 3 games, I think he went 80-something yards, 25 yards, then 80-something yards. And his last 4 been 112, 109, 105, something like that. And then 219. First off, he owns Houston. Sorry, Denzel, if you're watching. He owns Houston. But 219, and he's starting to do that thing, man, where he gets stronger as the game goes on. King Henry is back. He is the best running back in football, has been for, 3, 4, 5 years now. All is right in the world. He is leading the league in yards per game. I think Saquon is ahead on total yards, but he got an extra game played. Like, Derrick Henry is still the best running back in football, and he showed this week why they started a rookie quarterback. That ain't even the story. They started Malik Willis. Don't nobody know, because all you had to do was turn it off and hand it off 32 times. Derrick Henry, man. King Henry in the building. Hand it to that man 32 times and let him do what he do.
Ray, you're right. Saquon's only 24 yards. I mean, I don't say Saquon's having a hell of a year too, but Saquon's 24 yards up. But you're right with the games. And Henry's been over. I think he was only under 101 game. So
no, it was the first three. He didn't go for 100 in the first three. It was like 85, 25, 83. Yeah, Buffalo, he had like 25 yards or something like that. But last four.
Okay. By the way, Ray. Yes. I disagree that he's the best. I mean, for my money, I think it's Nick Chubb. I think that it could be. I think it's interchangeable. But for my money, Nick Chubb is so damn good. Like, it's just he gets overlooked because he's not the sexy.
Who's behind Saquon and Derrick Henry in yards?
Nick Chubb.
Nick Chubb.
He's just consistently good, and he's the only. Like they have Jacoby Brissett throwing the ball, and teams know it, and they stack the box, and he gets stronger as the game goes on too. So that's just.
You know what? I'll tell you this much, right? If we go into a conversation about Nick Chubb and Derrick Henry is going to get the nod for me simply by the consistency of what he's doing now, and he's done this for 4 or 5 years. It's kind of like when people have the Mahomes, Josh Allen conversation with me. It's like that boy playing catch up. Everybody's playing catch up to Derrick Henry, and as long as he's still doing what he's doing, and there's no drop off, like when everybody was ready to anoint Jonathan Taylor last year, it's like, no, bro, this guy been doing this for 5 years, and he got hurt. You remember last year when he got hurt? 4 weeks after he got hurt, he was still number 1 in the league in rushing.
And he passed Eddie George in career touchdowns.
Yeah, that's insane, man.
Titan. That's pretty good.
Derrick Henry's a different kind of beast, man. Derrick Henry, and he puts you in the mind of Eddie George, that physical style runner where, like, dudes don't want to get in front of him and tackle him.
And Ray, to cap it off yesterday on the touchdown, you guys, he passed Eddie George. Eric, did you see the stiff arm? Even though he was falling forward in the air, it's like he got tripped up, but he still took the guy, and he's like, get out of my way. Like, I'm with you. I mean, and earlier when we were talking, I thought I was with Derrick Henry too, but yeah, he when healthy is just sick. And Malik Willis, yeah, you're right. Didn't have a bad game, but I said to Titans fans in a Twitter space, Raylan, I pulled at you. I said, it don't matter. Just give it to Derrick Henry and let him own the Texans again. Sorry, Denzel.
Listen, it is. Oh, the Browns are shutting out. Wow. Who picked the Browns? Who picked the Browns this week? Raise your hand. Who picked the Browns this week?
I don't know how you do this. You can't pick a 1 o'clock game to save your life. You can pick a Monday night game like it's nobody's business.
Oh, that's right. You had the Bears last week too. You were the only one on Chicago.
This is like the weirdest thing. It's like the Seahawks being really good. It makes no sense.
John, I'm gonna put it to you like this: I'll be last this year in our weekly pick'ems as long as Philly keeps winning. I don't care. Okay, what do I say? Be consistent. Beat the Cowboys. We got to keep it moving here tonight. So we talked about in our performer of the week. All right, we talked about a wide receiver. We talked about 2 running backs, and we talked about a quarterback. There was one guy in the NFL who handled all 3 of those things this week. That's this man right here, Christian McCaffrey. Christian McCaffrey threw for a touchdown to forks up Brandon Ayuk.
That's right, baby.
He ran one in, and then he also caught one and ran one in. Like, this is ridiculous. So him being a part of the 49ers, gentlemen, I got to ask each of you a question, all right? And let me start here. Excuse me. Ray, I'm going to start with you on this one, my brother. Question is simply this. Is San Fran, with the addition of Christian McCaffrey, now the team to truly test Philly for the NFC crown this year?
I'm sorry. I was looking to see if Joe Montana or Steve Young was walking through that door. No, I was looking. Yeah, because like you got to make sure before you start talking about San Francisco, you see primetime Ryan Jones in the comments, big guard, they'll pull up on you, right? I'm sorry. Is Joe Montana or Steve Young walking through that door? Because if not, then Jimmy Garoppolo is still your quarterback. And as long as Jimmy Garoppolo is your quarterback, like I don't understand all the hype around San Francisco. I picked them to beat the Rams because they have the Rams number. It's just one of them things. Like you go back and look, everybody looked at me in my pick'ems. You picked San Francisco, yeah, they're like 7-0 in their last 7 against the Rams or something crazy.
They're now
like
8-0.
Right?
They're now 8-0.
They have their number. The problem is when you get to the playoffs, it's still Jimmy G under center. And it's like, oh, but they got CMC now. It's always been the game plan. Every running back that's filled in that system has looked great. Remember the rookie from last year was Elijah Mitchell? Like just came in and balled out. Not a kid that's going to be without a job this year. What's his name? Doesn't matter, right? No, Mozart left. The
Mostert's that was down in Miami. Any with you, John?
He's talking about
yes.
Jeff Wilson.
Jeff Wilson was playing very well, right? Was playing very well because in systems like these, no disrespect to the Ravens, but guys like Lamar, guys like Jimmy, you're going to have a run heavy, guys like Ryan Tannehill, right? You're going to have a run heavy offense. So the running back is always going to shine. Like CMC is going to do what he does. It don't move the needle for me because they already had that. I mean, he's a little better catching out of the backfield than the average running back, but still the same guys under center. There's no disrespect to 49ers fans, but Jimmy G, I don't believe in Jimmy G like that. If San Francisco does happen to make a run, it would have to be the likes of what we saw with Baltimore. Like your defense is going to have to hold it down. This guy got to go out there and not lose the game. And I don't see it, man. I just don't see it. I don't believe in Jimmy G. Therefore, I don't believe in the 49ers.
Okay, fair enough. So let's talk specifically then about Christian McCaffrey. John, here's a question. Will CMC win MVP?
I can't see him winning the MVP, not because he's not talented. We know how great CMC is when healthy, but running backs just don't win MVPs. It's a quarterback's award no matter what you do in today's day and age. AP ran for over 2,000. Like AP had to run for over 2,000 yards. You have to have an absolutely magical season. Look what Cooper Kupp did last year. Didn't win MVP. It doesn't matter how good you are, any other position. It's a quarterback's award, and that's just how it is. CMC has to stay healthy. It's not like he's played every game. It's not like he's been great every game this year between the Panthers and the Niners. And I also have to throw in there, he doesn't look right as a Niner. Like him in a Niner uniform, it just don't look right. Like in a Panther uniform, it looked right. Niner uniform, it just looks strange. It just something off. It don't look like it should. But no, he's not winning MVP. It's a quarterback's award. He's got to stay healthy. When Elijah Mitchell comes back, they're still going to utilize him. They're going to feed Brandon Ayuk. They're going to feed Debo when he comes back. They're going to feed Kittle. There's so many mouths to feed in San Francisco. It's not like it was in Carolina where he's getting 30 touches a game every game. Like that's just not happening with the Niners. Like there's so many mouths, it can't happen. So no, he's not winning MVP. No chance, not at all.
Real quick, before you go to Mike, what do we mean is so many mouths to feed? They're not gonna throw the ball all over the yard. Like that's why the receivers always mad. Like I keep hearing Brandon Ayuk's name, and I'm tired of hearing it. Like I don't want to hear nothing else about Brandon Ayuk.
He's averaging over 80 yards a game for them. He has touchdowns in 2 straight games. Like he's been fantastic with Debo hurt or sucking it up. Ayuk's been fantastic for 3 straight games.
Man, listen.
What you talking about? Why don't you go look at the stats before you run them lips?
Bro, like you know what week we in? What week are we in? We in week 8.
We're going into week 9.
Yeah, Brandon Ayuk got 480 receiving yards. I said
the last 3 games he's been fantastic.
But we talking about a small sample size of games. Like every time people talk about the 49ers, they go, they got this, they got that, they got Kittle, they got Debo, they got Ayuk. Ayuk ain't done nothing to warrant his name always being brought up. When did Ayuk catch 1,000 yards? When did Ayuk catch 10 touchdowns? When have he done something special?
I said these last 3 games, he's been on fire. He's been absolutely sensational. When Debo hasn't been able to step up.
He's mid, right? He's mid. Like, if anything, to your question, he gonna get a ton because that's San Francisco's offense. It's gonna be run heavy, and Jimmy G gonna check it down a ton.
But it doesn't mean he's
about to go crazy.
But it doesn't mean he's not a threat. Clearly, he can ball. They got Debo. They got Kittle. They use their other running backs. Like
is Ayuk a rookie?
They got so many. Huh?
Ayuk's a rookie.
Ayuk's not a rookie.
What do you do his first 2 years?
Just
you know that there's been issues between him and Shanahan off the field that they have not been playing him like they should.
Time out. Right.
Don't start
it's not
that.
a 1,000-yard receiver. First of all, and look, and Eric even has it because when we did our draft show, when Ayuk came in the league, I said he's going to be a 49er. I'm telling you right now, that is perfect for Shanahan's offense. Doesn't mean he's going to be a 1,500-yard receiver with what they have or a 1,000-yard receiver. But to that point, Ayuk fits perfectly in that system with, you're saying, running backs. And what Mike Shanahan does, look, and you and I have agreed on this, the whole win-losses thing, yes, it shouldn't just be a quarterback statistic because it is football. But Jimmy G, when they always say, oh, look at his wins and losses. Yes, I roll my eyes too for every quarterback because if your defense just sits down, you're not going to win. That being said, with Ayuk, though, it's building into the offense. And when you get Debo back and you get and Kittle, I mean, you're talking about, I mean, Debo's never really been full. I mean, he's been banged up here and there, but last season going nuts, last 2 seasons going nuts. He makes plays. You can sleep all you want, but it's more tools to have. You can't double everybody. If they're healthy, can you double everybody? Can you double Kittle? Can you double Debo? Can you double Ayuk and McCaffrey? No.
Nope.
So what are you going to do? Who are you going to double?
I think we're getting away from the question.
The point, I know, but I'm so tired of the 40. Like when people talk about the 49ers, they go, oh, they got George Kittle. George Kittle ain't been the same in 3 years. He ain't been the same in 3 years. He hasn't been that guy that you had on the same level as Travis Kelce. That's not George Kittle anymore. But because that's what we remember him as, people go, oh, they got George Kittle. People go, oh, they got Brandon Ayuk because the name sounds good and he have a few explosive plays here and there. But he's not this weapon that everybody talks about. Like that man has 7 times as many games under 30 yards as he does over 100. Let that sink in for a second. He's not this guy that's going to go out and like explode and be a game changer. He's not that guy. But when we talk about the 49ers, like, oh, they got Brandon Ayuk. You know, you can say that, like, if in the offseason you said, we got A.J. Brown. You saw that game he had yesterday? Brandon Ayuk could never. He could never in his wildest dreams do what A.J. Brown did yesterday. That's not who he is. So, like, when we talk about the 49ers,
what did he do? Okay, it might be Atlanta, and you can say Pittsburgh and Atlanta are equally as bad. What did he do against Atlanta? He destroyed Atlanta's secondary, and he had both touchdowns. So
what was his final line?
Was that 7 for 83 and a touchdown?
7 receptions, 83 yards. 7 receptions, 83 yards. Like that's a great game for him when he has 83 yards.
I'm not saying great game. He had 2 touchdowns.
Okay, so we don't get too far away because you got to answer your question. Is Brandon Ayuk a top 15 receiver?
Ain't nobody said he's like but he's still a threat.
Is he a top 10 receiver? He's top 15?
No.
Is he top 20? He's top 25. Why we keep bringing his name up?
Why was Deshaun Jackson ever a top 10 receiver? No, but he was a threat with the Eagles. He was a threat everywhere he went.
Let's not
That's
do that.
That's a threat.
At one point in his career, Deshaun Jackson was like that.
John,
Brandon Ayuk could never.
Stick a pin in it.
Ayuk could never.
We can have a wide receiver.
Okay, he was a threat.
John, we can have a wide receiver conversation at a different time, but we have got to keep it moving, and I've got to get to Mike. I respect everybody's opinion, but everybody just bring it down a little bit. We have 14. I need us at a 12 right now. Just calm down for a minute. Mike, last question to you, and I'm going to pull up their schedule for you so you can see it, all right? They are sitting at 4-4 right now. The San Francisco 49ers are sitting at 4-4 going into their bye week. With the rest of their schedule about to be on the screen here, what do you anticipate their second half record being?
Oh, I'm giving it, I say, so what? 8, they got 9 games left. I'm going 6-3. I mean, they'll probably beat the Cardinals twice. DeAndre Hopkins, our best friend, Eric, is the only bright spot, and we can talk about that later. That's just miserable. I mean, I saw what the Saints did yesterday. They're not gonna do that to the Niners, especially now that like Bosa's back healthy, the defensive line there. I'm going with 6-3.
Okay. So at 6-3,
I think they go 7-2, maybe 8-1. Seeing that schedule because I think Seattle will be tough. I'll be honest, Seattle will be tough, but Washington, depending on where they're at, the Raiders is just Josh McDaniels that's been a mess, and I mean Tampa Bay. Well, I mean Lamar showed them, hey, they can't throw the ball, and again, Jimmy G's not Lamar. Don't start yelling at me, Ray, because I know he's not Lamar. Believe me, but. Yeah, I say no less than 6-3.
Okay, so 6-3 is what you're saying, Mike. So since we are talking about it and we are getting into the second half of the season, a little bit of a spoiler alert for everybody here tonight on the Sports Arena. See, this is what we do. We're going to give it to you I'll quote our man Ryan Jones. This is raw thoughts real quick. But you said 6-3. That would put them at, in fact, 10-7. Well, Mike, do you remember what you predicted them having this season?
Did I go 11-6?
Please hold. I'm technology is a pain in the you know what, but
You also
no,
have to
Mike.
add
You actually did
context
say,
that,
in
'cause that was
fact,
with Trey Lance.
10-7. You said 10-7, so you would actually be right on the head. Now, clearly, I need them to win out in order for me to be right, because I predicted them at 13-4.
This isn't scripted at all. But look at them Seattle numbers though.
Hey.
Yo.
At least I gave him 6.
Hey,
man.
Gino said he ain't writing none of
Oh,
us
hold on,
back
go back
except.
to that Rams one. Hold on, go back to that Rams one, because
Oh.
Mike had the Rams at 13-4.
I did. Well, so
He
did
had them at
so did
13.
Ray.
Him and Ray had them
You
at
had it-
13-4, and they
you had him at 12-5.
I know, John. We had him at 12-5.
Yeah,
Stop
but
it.
they had him higher.
John, you
Stop
like
it,
you got
John.
him at 13-4 and you had him at 8-8 or something. You had him at
Right.
12-5. Like,
Hey,
Right, John.
like, you
Stop
mean-
I'm not
Stop
getting
it.
drunk as much as y'all are.
Hey,
Oh.
all right, let's keep it moving, fellas. We got so much to talk about. Our next topic here tonight, if I were to tell y'all, and this is real talk, okay? If I was to tell y'all that the AFC and NFC East would be the two best divisions in the entire NFL this season. Look at these 8 teams for a minute. Seriously, look at these 8 teams. We know what the Patriots were with Tom Brady. We know what the Buffalo Bills are with Josh Allen. And we're starting to see what Miami potentially could be with Tua. When you flip it over to the other side, okay, Dak Prescott, injury, not really. They're just a walking piece of mediocrity. The Giants and the Commanders have always been bottom feeders. And the Philadelphia Eagles, we weren't sure if Jalen was our guy this year. These two divisions right now are the best. So the question simply is, which one is better? Mike Carrot-Snudo.
I mean, look, the fact that the Commanders got back to 4-4, I mean, that insane win yesterday in Indianapolis. Look, the fact that the Giants are 6-2, because yes, even though I said Jalen had to prove it, that was my one thing. I liked what your Eagles assembled, and you know that, Eric, but he had to prove it. Those were the two top teams that are going to be like, all right, if the Cowboys defense can grow and Dak can actually, if Kellen Moore runs the ball, to the point earlier, but we figured the Commanders are going to be terrible because they had Carson Wentz, and the Giants, I was a little higher in the Giants because I like Brian Dable, and I said, even though, yes, it is an offensive lineman, bringing over Feliciano from Buffalo was huge for them. The fact that Ron Rivera, and then what he said, and then, of course, Megan's guy, I always give Megan props, man. She said Heineke was a guy after the first week he played last year, Eric. So I'm like, I'll defer to that. But the fact they got to 4-4, I got to say the NFC East, and not even being a homer, not by much, but it's still better because of what the bottom in Washington is doing.
Listen, very rarely do Mike Carrot-Snudo and I co-sign on something, but I'm truly co-signing this year on the NFC East. The fact of the matter is this: the Philadelphia Eagles, the New York Giants, and the Dallas Cowboys there's 4 losses. 4? 3.
Yeah.
4 losses
Mhm.
between 3 of those 4 teams. And then you have the Washington Commanders, who Megan said it, and yeah, our Queen of Hoops gets all the love in the world. When Tyler Heineke started playing, he was going to be the difference maker. And when Ron Rivera called out his own quarterback when being asked, what is a major obstacle in your entire team? Quarterback. I like how he tried to spin it, because him and Carson haven't had time really to gel and be together. But I mean, you can say the same thing about Dak and McCarthy. They haven't had a lot of time. Hell, Sirianni and Jalen Hurts didn't have a lot of time together. And Brian Dable and Daniel Jones, this is their first year. So Ron Rivera, where's your excuse? But yet and still, the Eagles are undefeated. Both the Giants and the Cowboys are sitting at 6 wins. And I take nothing away from what I've seen so far with Tua. But Mac Jones and Zach Wilson, just don't seem to be connecting like they need to do. Now, I hope that the Bryce Robinson, I mean, not Bryce,
Brees Hall.
James Robinson addition
Oh,
to the
right.
Jets. I hope he actually can pick up where Brees Hall left off, and prayers to that young man because I want to see him back. But what we saw yesterday between the Jets and the Patriots, that was something that I was like, oh, we're going back to what we kind of anticipated them being. So for me, clearly, and again, much like Mike John, this is not a homer pick. It is truly the NFC East. Now I know you are going to make a case for your AFC East, sir, and I'm gonna let you do your thing. But then Ray, you gonna have to let us know which side of the fence you on, bro. John?
All right. Yeah. I was putting my number together. All right. So I was looking at the numbers outside the division because that actually tells me a lot. Is when you look at these records, you have to take away the division games. Like you have to take away all the games that you played it within your division because you're just cannibalizing each other. So if you take away the numbers outside of the NFC East, if you take away the division games that have all been played, that division is 19-2 outside of playing each other. Collectively, that whole division's 19-2 when not playing each other. It's pretty good, I would say. AFC East is 16-7 when not playing the AFC East. NFC East is 19-2 outside their division. AFC East is 16-7. So I would say your division is better. I mean, I think that the Jets are frauds. I think the Patriots are frauds. I think the Commanders are frauds. I don't know about the Giants. They keep proving me wrong. And don't, Eric, I have not forgotten about Tuesday night when my ears were red hot because apparently you were talking about me when you said my career was over, on Say What, Say It Again. Shout out to Say What, Say It Again. But I don't know what to think about the Giants, man. Like the Cowboys and Eagles clearly are real. Giants, we have no idea. The Dolphins, if Tua's healthy, we think they're real. Their defense hasn't done anything. We know the Bills are real. We know like I said, the Jets and Patriots are frauds. So it has to be the NFC East. Eagles 7-0. Cowboys are really good defensively. Offensively, they got Dak back. And the Giants have been pretty good. So it has to easily go to the NFC East for me. 19-2 versus 16-7. 19-2 wins all day.
All right, Ray.
I thought when this rundown was put together that the intent was for you guys, the Philly and the Dallas fan to make a case for the NFC East. And John was supposed to make a case for the AFC East, and he pulled the Mike Carrot-Tenuto. But
I said NFC
fired,
East.
Mike.
Like I said, I was straight up. I said NFC East.
So here's why. I guess I'm gonna be the loner here. Here's why the AFC East is better, right? If you took all 8 of these teams and lined them up top to bottom and said, "Give me the best team and the worst team," I think the Commanders are worse, right? New England and the Jets ain't a whole lot better. Right. But I think the Commanders are worse.
Yeah.
So then you talk about those top 5. There's a case to be made. Don't kill me for this, E. And shout out to your Philadelphia Eagles. There's a case to be made that the 2 best teams out of these conferences are the Bills and the Dolphins. That's a legitimate case. Forget the record. Don't look at the fact that Philly is 7-0 and Miami is 5-3. Because here's a fun stat, John. You like numbers. In the last 14 games that Tua started and finished, they're 13-1, including 5-0 this year when Tua starts and finishes the game, right? I didn't believe in Tua before the season started, but it's pretty clear that he at least knows at the very least where his bread is buttered. I know who to get the ball to. Waddell and Tyreek Hill might be the best wide receiver tandem in the NFL, and he knows how to get those guys the ball. This season, when Tua suits up, they're 5-0 when he starts and finishes the game, including wins against Buffalo, who a lot of people have looking like the best team in the NFL, right? They beat them. They had to come back against the Ravens. They ain't out there beating no chumps. They beat my chump Lions, but they playing well, right? And then preseason, you all aboard the Josh Allen train, right? If you ask me who's the best team out of these 8, most people are going to say Buffalo, right? I think Philly is 1,000% legit. And I think Dallas is legit, and I think Micah Parsons is going to win Defensive Player of the Year. New York, I don't believe.
I agree with that.
So to me, it boils down to Philly and Dallas versus Buffalo and Miami. The other 4, whatever. And I'm nudging. I'm edging Buffalo, because they're looking like Super Bowl contenders, and Miami looks legit when their quarterback is on the field. They ain't lost the game.
But Ray, let me ask you this, and John, I'm not saying the Giants are better than the Dolphins, as much crap as I give you, but with what Brian Dable's doing, what we were talking about before with McCaffrey, how it's going through Barkley and Breida and Daniel Jones, the one thing doesn't have the turnovers. If this team just plays 500 ball the rest of the way, there's no way they're not going to the playoffs. I mean, again, not saying that 500 is great, but you get off to a 6-2 start. They can play 500 ball the rest of the way and make the playoffs. I'm just saying, like, again, and I guess I'm agreeing with you. I'm not saying they're better than the Dolphins, but I'm just saying, where's that line for you with the Giants? Like, what would you need to see more of? Because their defense sure as hell hasn't played bad. Schedule or not, NFL, I'm just saying that they haven't played bad. And Eric knows it's tough for me to defend anybody else really in the division. Washington,
it's very difficult to do, but
right.
You know.
But I'm saying, what more do you need to see from the Giants? And I'm not saying to leapfrog the Dolphins or anything like that. I'm just saying, what more do you need to see from the Giants? Nothing. A sip of water. Wow.
Nothing.
And I'll add this. I don't know about the Giants.
Hold on. No. I need John to answer. John, you're saying so. John, there's nothing more this season.
No, I was waiting for you. Didn't he ask you?
No, he asked you.
Ask Ray. No, I was asking Ray.
Oh, you was asking me?
I know my answer. I was ready to say it, but I wanted to give y'all your chance.
I know. I was saying not to leave for the Dolphins, but that's why I said, Ray, what more do you need to see from the Giants? Because again, Brian Dable's got them playing, and if they go 500 ball, they're going to the playoffs.
You heard what I just said about, like, first off, making the playoffs is a very low bar. The NFC sucks. Like, outside of the NFC East, there's only one other team with a winning record.
It's the Vikings.
The Vikings. That's it. No. San Francisco. San Francisco and the Vikings.
Seattle.
They just want when I looked it up, they was playing the Giants. So they was sitting at what?
That was the only game this weekend with two teams with a winning record.
Right.
Legit teams outside of the NFC East are the Vikings and the Niners. There you go.
So here's one thing, and shout out to Mike Patton in the comments. He said, remember, the NFC East has the AFC South, which is atrocious this year, right? Like, you heard what I said about San Francisco. They got C-Mac. They got all these weapons y'all was talking about. And I said, come playoff time, it's Jimmy G. It's Daniel Jones, right? Like, there's nothing Daniel Jones has ever shown me in his career to make me go, there it is. And New York doesn't have the consistency of putting, like, at least San Francisco, you can say they've proven this formula works for them, right? We're gonna hide our quarterback. We're gonna protect him and simplify the game plan. And we're going to play old school blue collar smash mouth football. That's how we're going to win games. New York hasn't done this for 5 or 6 years for me to go, okay, this is a proven formula of success for them. So I just don't see it. Like, forgive me if I put it like this. If Dak doesn't come back, I wouldn't believe in y'all neither.
Right.
For all the people that thought Cooper Rush was playing well, you don't want to go to the playoffs with Cooper Rush. It's Daniel Jones.
No, I don't know if you want to go to. I don't know if you want to go to the playoffs with Dak Prescott because he don't know how to get the ball back to the to the referee. And lose him last 14 seconds. But we're gonna go to break on that one, ladies and gentlemen. When we come back, of course, we got our segment "Who Knew I Knew" and more with the crew. Talk to y'all in about a minute. Give us one moment. We'll be back.
Connecting your brain and body with interactive games and tests. Why is there no physical activity in today's health physical? Trazer is an holistic technology used to rehabilitate, prevent falls, and improve sport performance. Trazer reports provide you, your clinician, your physical therapist, or athletic trainer objective data to make decisions on your health and performance over time. Measure what matters to change your game. Take the Trazer Challenge. Confidence, growth, connected by Trazer.
All right, welcome back into the Sports Screen on the Monday Night. Your man, Eric Wilson, alongside my co-host, Ray Lynn, Blue Hawk 13, John Scheer, and Believe in the Pac-12 review, Mr. Mike Carrot-Tenuto. All right, let's get to our next segment here tonight on the Sports Screen, because one that I love is called Who Knew I Knew. So I'm going to go first, gentlemen. my who knew I knew, and y'all might think I'm crazy, but I have to give an assist to our Queen of Hoops because we were talking about him in the previous segment. My who knew I knew is that man right there, Taylor Heineke, because I knew Taylor Heineke was not going to let this team down. Now, I get it. You're going into Indianapolis, but they had a starting quarterback, a rookie, Sam Ellinger, and the brother played well. Jonathan Taylor was there, and the team looked good, but I just knew in that moment, Tyler Heineke was not going to let his team down. And shout out to Terry McLaurin, who I didn't even realize this until watching the game. He grew up in Indiana. He's a Colts fan. You know, him and his dad used to sit in section 50 something and watch the games. So you know this was his coming out party.
Mr. Indiana high school football too, Eric.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you, Mike. But my who knew I knew was I just knew in his heart, in his soul, deep down, that brother is the dude to be the starting quarterback for the Washington Commanders. So who knew? I knew. Mike, I'm going to come to you.
Yeah, my who knew I knew in our conversation, kind of big out of race, is the Minnesota Vikings. Because, look, I mean, playing the Cardinals yesterday, yeah, DeAndre Hopkins, got to give a shout out to that man because anytime he has a ball in his direction, it's in his hands. That touchdown was sick. But, look, the Minnesota Vikings, absolutely phenomenal what they're doing. Dalvin Cook, Eric, I mean, he looks healthier. I mean, I know last year he got banged up, but that's what I've said about him because Derrick Henry's that bull. Dalvin Cook's just a violent, nasty runner. Like, he gets between the tackles. You are the old phrase, you're packing your lunch to tackle him. Yes, Justin Jefferson's there. Yes, the first man invited to the barbecue to your house for Kirk Cousins, first Cousins is there, Eric. And look, that's the one thing that might hold him. But if you're the Vikings, man, what Kevin O'Connell has done, you had the formula offensively. You know, Mike Zimmer got fired. Those are his draft picks, so that's all I'm going to say. But Dalvin Cook is a beast, and Justin Jefferson, look, I as much as I kid you, and I know you wanted him in Philly, and nobody could blame you.
I wanted him and I wanted Dalvin Cook. We could have had both of them.
Oh, true. But no, Justin Jefferson, look, is a freak. He's opening other receivers up. Adam Thielen's numbers, maybe not quite there, but still clutch. Dude, I mean, and they're playing defense too. I mean, Patrick Peterson was all fired up yesterday because he wanted to prove the Cardinals wrong, but that's why I went with the Vikings on the who knew I knew because and look, it is kind of a typical my answer, Ray, right? Because I know you'll probably ask Eric to pull up from the beginning because when we did our division picks, Eric, talking about that, I won't forget saying, I guess by default the Vikings win the division. That's how I phrased it.
Hey, real quick. No. Hold on. Hey, John, relax. I'm all ready for that. I don't think he can see it. So the picture is sitting there waiting to be pulled up. Everybody predicted the Vikings to win more games than you. Everybody. Like, you predicted them to win the least out of everybody.
Ray and I right there. Ty and I right there. We both picked the Vikings to win the division. What did you know? What did you know, Mike?
But
I said for second in the division.
I said no. I didn't have the Packers at 10-7.
What does that say? Packers 10-7.
I did not have the Packers at 10-7.
Oh, we're gonna have to pull the tape.
Yeah, we have to pull the tape because I had the Vikings and the Packers with the same record, and I said the Vikings get the tiebreaker and by default win the division.
They all go 9-8.
Hey, man. Tell people don't be showing up to the comments late talking about we overlooked Derrick Henry and we done had a whole segment on him. Don't be showing up late talking about we overlooked.
That's Cortland.
Cortland, I never looked over.
We had a whole segment on Derrick Henry with me calling him the best running back in football and all's well with the world because Derrick Henry's back.
Nope. So now you get a twofer.
Swung on and hit in the air to deep left center.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another edition of Eric's Rant. You're getting 2 for 1 tonight here on the Sports Minute. Why? Because of that comment right there. See, my original Eric's Rant was going to be for this man right here because he liked to do all this chirping, and then he want to be mad when we don't invite him to be on the show. Well, guess what? Cortland Griffin, here is your official invitation. Next Monday night, don't go running, don't go hiding, clear your schedule. I want you on the Sports Arena, 10 p.m. Eastern for the entire hour. I'm going to make sure you have all yourself together, put yourself in the best position, tell the wife, the kids, your girlfriend, whoever you got, you ain't going to be available. Because, see, you like to chirp and run your lips, but then I'm trying to call you out. I was going to do it earlier this evening, but see, the NFL kind of pissed me off with A.J. Brown being drug tested after we beat the Pittsburgh Steelers. So, yes, Cortland Griffin next Monday night. Don't go into hiding because, as I always say, Cortland, I ain't a hard man to find. I'm going to see you, my brother, Monday night right here on the show.
Yeah.
I have a question.
Some people.
Have we ever had a mic drop during an Eric's rant? Because I feel like a mic drop during Eric's rant should have happened right there. That would have been
no.
That would have been a first in history.
No, we can't do that. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to take away from the Who Knew I Knew segment. But see, when people like that do stuff like this, then I got to remind them who I am. That's all that is to that. Now,
Eric,
getting back to what I was saying.
I just want you to know that when you did that, Cortland commented in the comments, and our bruh said, that's what he said. That's what he said in the comments.
Okay.
He said he can't wait.
Listen, I'll promote him all week long. The halftime show with Cortland Griffin is coming back to the sports arena. But anyhow, getting back to Who Knew I Knew. Okay, let's keep the show rolling here tonight. So, I please forgive me, Mike, John, you're up, sir. Who knew I knew, sir?
Yeah, man. Who knew I knew? It got to be the Atlanta Falcons, man. I tried telling you guys about how, Arthur Smith's doing it right. The Falcons are an up-and-coming team. They're not quite there yet. Like, they're not a Super Bowl contending team. But the way they're building last year, the way they competed last year, it's going to be quite a long rebuild. But I felt the same way with the Lions, but clearly the Lions just aren't there yet. I feel the same way with the Falcons. Like, they're doing it the right way. And I felt like this team could eventually contend. Felt like Marcus Mariota. I don't buy Marcus Mariota. They got to get that quarterback, but they got quite a bit of pieces. They got some nice pieces on defense with Grady Jarrett and A.J. Terrell. I knew about the Falcons. I tried telling y'all in the preseason that the Falcons, they play every team hard. They may not win a whole lot of games. They're going to play every team hard. And they're going to be a tough out, like, against people in each and every game. Try to tell you about this Falcons team, man, like in the preseason. They tough. And they're leading the division now. Like, despite that goofy game where both teams tried to give it away yesterday, like, I knew about the Falcons. They come in a couple years, like maybe a year or two. They get some more draft picks, man. They're going to be scary. And Tom Brady eventually got to retire, right? Eventually.
All right. Ray, who knew I knew, sir?
Well, we got to get right for this. Who knew I knew? Listen, pull up that picture real quick, E. Pull up that picture. First off, I'm mad at myself. I'm mad because I allowed y'all to play my heartstrings and play on my emotions and guilt me into giving them 6
tried
wins.
telling you.
Listen, no. If you go back and watch the tape, when I saw this picture, I was shocked I had him at 6 because I remember E saying like the 10 and the 9s and 8s, and everybody watched Hard Knocks and everybody loves Dan Campbell and he's gonna bite kneecaps and we're gonna play hard and we're gonna win. And y'all, if you recall the show, I told y'all, man, y'all don't understand. We've been through this. When you say who knew, I knew. You know why I knew, E? Who shows up to shows every week with Lions hats on? Who comes stressed out drinking tea in the middle of a show in a Lions Cup? Who's lived through an 0-16 season? I have. Who's had generational talents like Barry Sanders and Calvin Megatron Johnson and Matt Stafford and couldn't do anything with them? I have. Who's had a team who had Ndamukong Suh, Nick Fairley, and Dre Bly on one side of the ball, and then we had Stafford, Megatron, Reggie Bush on the other side of the ball and couldn't do nothing with all that talent? I've lived through this. I've been a Lions fan my entire life. They build you up just to let you down. Every single game, they play hard and you think, there it is, and then they do the most Lion things ever. I want to text John and talk stuff this past weekend because we had 27 in the first half. Guess what we had at the end of the game? 27. You know why? Because we're the Detroit Lions. We are, as Stephen A. Smith would say, an accident waiting to happen. We're a very bad team. We never figure it out. We never get good. Who knew? I knew.
Okay. All right.
Look, he just said,
I don't know what else to say. Like, you can't say anything to top that.
He in the comments making it worse. Mel Gray, Blaze. Like, people don't even know about guys like Scott Mitchell and Herman Moore and Josh Gordon and Robert Porcher and Chris Spielman. Like, we've had so much talent over the years just to be mid.
Mike Williams.
Herman Moore.
We're not even going to talk about the 5-6 year stretch. We just drafted receiver after receiver after receiver. like Roy Williams and Mike. Like,
Herman Moore was my guy. Right.
Herman Moore was amazing.
Herman Moore was my guy. He was ridiculous.
Y'all be wondering why I get so
Rodney
excited when
Peete.
basketball season come around and people like Ray, the sports reporter without pay, he loves basketball more than football. It's not that. I'll be happy I got something else to look forward to besides just my Lions on a Sunday. You know why? Because we do Lions things. Y'all was so hyped like they could win 9 games. Debo Kim's gonna have them playing hard. In my mind, I'm like 3 or 4. I'm like, you know what? Let's go 6. And I said that's their ceiling. They're awful.
Yeah,
Amon-Ra St. Brown is great though, but we're awful.
But so is DeAndre
DeAndre
Swift.
Swift?
Real quick. Hold on, real quick.
DeAndre Swift.
And listen to this. How ironic is it, right? You look at the Lions and you think, where's the promise? DeAndre Swift and Amon-Ra St. Brown, right? The running back and the receiver. Think Barry Sanders and Herman Moore. Think Reggie Bush and Megatron. This is what we do. We will have some talent at a few positions, make you think we're going to build on it, and we won't because the Fords on the team and they suck. Don't argue with me about my team, Mike. We suck and we're never going to
Don't forget
not
Jamal
suck.
Williams leads the
never
league in
gonna
rushing
not
touchdowns.
Your O-line doesn't suck.
Man, listen.
They're the
Explain something to
Lions,
you,
man.
Hey, look, you know what?
It's like the Mets, man. There's a couple teams that are
don't
always
even-
that team no matter what.
Since Damian Adams is in the comments and known, all my teams suck. All my teams suck. All of them.
Hold on.
He just career overed himself. Like, is that possible?
Hey,
Ray,
that's because of Tyree. That's because of Tyree. It's on the trash talk he put out there.
We're gonna get
You're trying to help everybody. Tyree's just trying to slam everybody down. Yeah,
Right.
big guard. Take that, big guard.
Mike, we got to talk about this really quick, and as always, we're gonna go into overtime. But before we get out of here, for all of our Roku people watching us on DBTV, I want to give them a little bit about the World Series. So, Mike, John, take these last 3 minutes for our Roku channel listeners, and then everybody else stay tuned because we're gonna stream this live because we got so much NBA to talk to. But Mike, John, it is the World Series. Game 3 has been postponed. Talk to us about what's going to happen these next 3 games in Philly.
Well, John, before you go, I think the World Series, MLB never gets it right. And I get the home field and stuff like that, but it only should be in warm weather places, man. You don't need freaking rain delays, postponements, cancelments on World Series games. They should bid it like the Super Bowl, man. One spot, and MLB with all their money, because they never get it right, to fly people in. But let's focus on the matchup. I posed a question earlier in the thing that and again, it's one game and it is pitching, but the Astros, and you've touched on it, they're starting pitching. Their bullpen has been the bullpen everybody's chasing all year long. And the Phillies come back from a 5-0 deficit in game 1, which floored me because I saw it's 5-0. I'm like, this game's over.
I can't put too much stock into that.
Well, no, but okay, but what I'm saying is they're still hitting the ball. They hit the ball in game 2. Well, okay.
No, not
the Phillies
really.
hit the ball in game 2. Hey, they still got they're getting hits. Yes, the pitching was timely, but I mean, if you're an Astros fan, and okay, let's treat it like Ray Lynn with baseball, teeny bit of negativity towards it. You're thinking, man, the Phillies actually got to us, and I said made the pitching staff look kind of human. But John, you as well as I know, Bryce Harper, Kyle Schwarber could get that one big hit that just ignite the match.
Right.
Do you feel that? I feel that way. I think they could.
No, I don't put too much stock into the Phillies winning game 1. They didn't do it against the bullpen. They did it against Justin Verlander. Justin Verlander has the worst ERA in the history of the World Series. At minimum 3 starts, the worst pitcher in the history of baseball in World Series games, Justin Verlander.
I ain't supposed to do this. You know where he started that bad ERA stuff at? Right here.
As a rookie.
Oh, I knew it. I knew he was going to come in with that, John. All right. Well, yeah, and he's
the worst. He's the worst fall classic pitcher in the history of baseball.
But
and
look
the
at
Phillies
his
used
strikeouts.
him to come back.
But you look at his strikeouts to walks. He's not the worst.
He has the worst ERA in the history of the World Series. Over 6.
I mean, and he's been to what? How many World Series?
He's been to a lot.
Right.
With the Tigers. He's been to with the
Okay,
Astros.
but what's it going to take then? Okay,
times.
so you don't buy stock in the Phillies game 1, but in your eyes, what would it take if it does go 7, or do you think it goes 7? What's it going to take for the Phillies to win it?
The only way the Phillies can win this is if they win it in Philadelphia. That's the only way they can win it. They got to win all 3 of these games in Philly because the Phillies rely. I saw this in the NLCS. They rely on that crowd so much to juice them up, which is a
insane.
great thing. That's what your crowd's for.
Yeah.
But the way this series is constructed is they get these 3 games at home, bang, bang, bang. If they don't win it in Philadelphia, if they go up 3-2 and go back to Houston for game 6 and then possibly 7, they're not winning those games. So they got to win these 3 in Philly because they don't have that crowd to juice them up. And I feel like they need that crowd to kind of get them over the hump because Houston's so good. That's kind of how I feel with this. They need that to finish it off, to finish the job.
And Eric, real quick, like I said from the beginning, I'm not rooting against you. I'm just rooting for Dusty
I
Baker.
am.
I'm not
I'm
rooting
rooting
against
against
the
you.
Phillies.
And with that, ladies and gentlemen, thank you to all of our Roku people watching us here on DBTV. We are the Sports Arena. We will see you on Wednesday night. Everyone, have a great evening. Peace. All right, for all of our fans still watching us, streaming with us live, let's keep the show going. I just wanted to make sure I got that out there again. Make sure you check us out on DBTV on the Roku channel. We're on there 6 nights a week around 4:30 in the morning. Check out Sideline Sports. Also check out the Sports Arena. Let's transition over to the NBA because we're starting a brand new segment tonight. It is called, ladies and gentlemen, Consistency or Casualty. Now, tonight we've picked 3 teams. Each one of our guys has their team, which they are going to let me know whether they are going to be a consistent team this NBA season or if they're going to be a casualty this NBA season. All right. Mike, actually, I'm going to start with Ray. Ray, sir, you, sir, have the San Antonio Spurs. So are the San Antonio Spurs, Ray, going to be consistent or are they going to be a casualty?
You know, this question kind of derived from the idea that nobody told San Antonio and the other team that's coming up next, Utah, that they were supposed to be bad this year. Like, they didn't get the memo. Nobody told them they were supposed to suck. I would take 10 of the best sports analysts in the world and ask them to name 8 players on the San Antonio Spurs, and nobody could do it. Nobody could do it.
Keep cutting them. That's because they keep cutting or trading them.
No, I'm simply saying we don't even know who these guys are, right? Like, you kind of thought they were throwing the towel in when they got rid of DeJounte Murray, who was a budding star in this league. Went to his first All-Star game last year, should have been most improved player, and they just give him away. And this is years after they gave Kawhi away. And you start asking yourself, does San Antonio have problems with their stars over there? What's going on? Does Pop not have it anymore? You look up and they winning games this year. And I don't even want to jump into to John's segment, but like, as we're doing this, Utah is smacking Memphis by 25. I don't know what's going on with Utah and San Antonio, but I have to stick with my guns up. Talent wins in this league. Like, San Antonio's just not enough talent. Keldon Johnson is the best player on the team. You cannot be a winning team in the NBA with Keldon Johnson as your best player. Maybe that Olympic experience was good for him. Maybe he came back more seasoned. Maybe he learned some tricks, some tips. Maybe he's better, but he's not the guy that's going to lead you to compete in the Western Conference. I think this is fool's gold. I think they will come back down to earth. In fact, they're going to come back down to earth and then keep going. They're going to sink back down to the bottom of the Western Conference. But for now, it's just kind of unreal with them. I mean, it's early. It's a small sample size, but they're winning, and nobody saw this coming. Nobody could have saw this coming for San Antonio. They'll be a casualty, though.
Okay. John Shear, talk to me about the Atlanta Hawks, sir. Will they be consistency or will they be a casualty?
Yeah, I mean, I think there'll be consistency. They gotta be with this roster, with Murray and with Trae Young's playing out of his mind. Collins, really good rebounder. I mean, you've got a lot of talent. It's just like Ray said, talent wins in this league. They've got the talent. They've got the coaching. It's just the off the court stuff where they have issues off the court. It's the weirdest thing with Atlanta because they got so much talent, but they get in their own way. And you heard so many weird things about, like, the locker room. It didn't really gel last year. It was so many weird things with Atlanta, but you're like, this team has so much talent, but yet they couldn't put it all together from the year before that when they went to the Eastern Conference Finals. So it didn't make sense. So, like, this has to be a year where, you know, you have Trae Young and he keeps getting better and better. I don't know what they're going to do in the playoffs, but they have to. It has to be consistency for me. There's just so much talent. I don't see how, like, it would be an extreme, like a major failure if this team doesn't, if they're not like a top 6, if they're in the playing game, absolute failure for this team. There's no way you can be a 7 seed or 8 seed with this roster.
All right. So, Mike, that just leaves the Utah Jazz, who, as Ray said, are currently beating Memphis by so much. Talk to me. Will the Utah Jazz consistency or casualty?
I think it's going to be consistency. And Ray, it's funny how great minds think alike. When Eric assigned me that, I want to be like, who can I name on the Jazz? And I got 3 on the roster. I got Jordan Clarkson. I got Johnny Juzang because he's a UCLA kid, and I had Mike Conley, and that was it. I couldn't name anybody else on the rest of the roster. So
Lloyd Markkanen is hooping.
Was that before or after Google?
No, it was yeah. It was before I went. It was way before I went to NBA.com, John. But I'm smiling because real quick, I said the Atlanta Hawks beat the team. So the fact that you prove one of my points right early on, if they stay consistent, that's all the assurance I need. But no, before looking at NBA.com, I'm like, oh, I know he's there. Look, Danny Ainge as a GM, everybody's like, oh, it's a fire sale. Obviously, Gobert's gone, and they got all those picks. And then Donovan Mitchell goes to Cleveland, and you're like, what are they doing? And yeah, for teams to overlook him. And I 100% agree with you. That's the second thing I thought of was it is a small sample size. But the things with teams that get out to winning early and winning quick, yeah, at some point they're going to hit a slump. If it comes a lot earlier, then that's bad. But if they just get that confidence as the team of misfit toys, and Eric, I said it to you that year that in hockey when Vegas went their first year because those guys weren't protected. And you talk about a bunch of professionals, and granted it's different in this case, but everybody's overlooking them. But they were like the land of misfit toys, and Vegas wins the West and loses to the Caps in the Stanley Cup Finals, which is unheard of in hockey, as we know. But look, I think it's going to be consistency. Danny Ainge has done this before in Boston. You're thinking, oh, there's no way they can. But they do. They have players. I've always liked Mike Conley. I think he's a very solid point guard. They can keep this up. Success for them would be getting in the play-in tournament, in my opinion, with what we thought of them preseason, or like, again, a lot of people thought of them preseason, and I would be lumped into that group thinking they have no chance in the West. They get into the play-in tournament. That's a success for a season for Utah. So I'm going to say consistency.
Hey, Eric, it wasn't on our consistency and casualty, but shout out to Damian Adams. Y'all catch his podcast. The Real
You
Deal
know what,
Damian Adams.
Ray, I'm so glad that you brought this up because this was going to be, I had to choose, I was going to choose Cleveland, but I was actually, do I do Cleveland or do I do Atlanta? And so Damian Adams, man, thank you so much for bringing this up because they were my fourth team that I was going to bring up. I just, for whatever reason, I went with Atlanta, but Cleveland was my third team that I was actually going to say consistency or casualty.
Shout out to him. Shout out to Mike Patton in the comments, dropping gems in there. Y'all can catch him touring the AFC South, right? So as far as Cleveland, the thing is they did this last year. We don't recall until they got injured, Cleveland was doing this last year. They're doing this right now with no Darius Garland. Donovan Mitchell is just slid right into that role of Darius Garland. When he comes back, that'll be interesting to see how the dynamic with them works out. Because if you pay attention to Atlanta, I don't think Trae Young and DeJounte Murray are playing well together, right? They do their best. They play their best basketball when the other guy's not on the floor. And I think that's going to be the case with Donovan Mitchell and Darius Garland, right? But Cleveland has all the tools, right? They do this thing with 3 7-footers on the court. Mobley's a stud. Jared Allen is really good. Karis LeVert is playing well. And this kind of ties into John's thing about Atlanta. John said if Atlanta is in the 7th seed, that's a disappointment, right? I don't disagree, but here's the thing. We said this last year. Somebody got to be 7th, right? Milwaukee's still there. Miami, who started slow, we expect them to be around when it matters. Boston will be around. Toronto is playing well. Philly, we talking about Cleveland. Then you have Atlanta. Then you have Chicago with DeRozan and Levine, who picked up Andre Drummond in the offseason. There's just a lot of good teams in the East playing good basketball, and it's a free-for-all. So, if you finish 6th or 7th, ain't necessarily the worst thing in the world.
It's still a disappointment. If you look at your organizational standpoint and you're Cleveland who just got Mitchell, you can't say, well, all these teams in front of us are really good. No, you expect to be
but you
know what I mean?
That was your comment about Atlanta, though. When you did your take on Atlanta, you said
it's a disappointment if Atlanta's not amongst those teams.
John, after last year, maybe if you said that after 2 seasons ago when they got to the conference finals, and you were talking about last season 7 will be a disappointment this year
but I feel like Atlanta's more talented than they were 2 years ago. They just had like that weird run, but I feel like they're better now. Or they should be.
I think again, but to Ray's point, if DeJounte Murray, how long and that's what I.
But a good coach would be able to
like take DeJounte
navigate
Murray
that
and Trae Young to gel. It's going to take a minute. That's fine. You always hear LeBron, and I'm not picking on. I'm just saying, you hear LeBron, you hear KD, you hear Kyrie talking about again gelling. How long is it going to take him to gel in the regular season? Because I'm with you. If they do 7 for that talent, I fully believe it's there, and I love DeJounte Murray's game. But I'm just saying, for 7 after last year, and with what the East is as well, again, somebody's got to be there. Ray's right. Somebody's got to be there, but I love that talent there. I'll say that much.
All right, gentlemen. Go ahead. Last point. We got to keep moving.
Cleveland's such a weird team because – like they're so talented and we don't really expect too much out of them because of the teams in front of them, but they're that weird team that you're really not sure if they're worthy of like 5-6 or if they should be in that play. Like they're kind of in that weird gray area where you're really not sure how to like.
Yeah, but Donovan Mitchell will be happier because he's reunited with Ricky Rubio. I'm just saying, Rubio will get him the ball. He'll score. He'll get him the ball.
Speaking of getting people the ball and the expectation of teams being what we hoped they would be, I want to pull up this graphic for everybody. Everybody take a look at this. Now, when you look on this screen right here tonight on the Sports Arena, what do you see? You see all-stars. You see champions. You see potential big threes, right? Look at the names that are attached to these teams and then the combined record of all 3 of these teams. 4-14. 4-14. I'm going to let this picture marinate for about 3 seconds so that everybody can truly grasp what we saying here tonight. Okay. Ray, you a Lakers guy. Can the Los Angeles Lakers fix this?
Man, James Worthy rolling over in his grave right now. Like James Worthy, Eldon Campbell, Eddie Jones, Nick Van Exel are rolling over in their grave. Look, do you know we pop bottles after we won a game, man, and they pop bottles? I get it. Coach Darvinham's first win. Like we suck. Like I did a column on this not too long ago, where if you look at how the league is structured right now, right? Like you can have your superstars. You can have a star who's not a great shooter, right? Even LeBron's better, but he's never been a great shooter, right? But you surround him with shooters, and he's a freight train going downhill, and you can create all kind of havoc with shooters around him, right? You saw what KD looked like in Golden State with shooters around him. You see what Giannis did when they surrounded him with just 3-and-D guys. This league, and I put up a trivia question asking what does Steph Curry have to do with the Lakers being awful? Well, because he changed the league. Nobody ever answered that question. He changed the league. Steph Curry made it where you have to be able to shoot threes now. The Lakers are dead last in three-point shooting in the NBA. No team has won a championship. No team has even been competitive being that low in three-point shooting. And the crazy thing about LA is they're like top 11 or 12 in attempts. They keep shooting them, and they shoot them at the worst clip in the NBA. Like they did all these moves in the offseason. They went and signed a ton of point guards. They went and got Dennis Schroeder back. You have Russ. They got Kendrick Nunn. Who else did they pick up and all? Patrick Beverly, right? You got all these point guards. I don't even get how that works. You go get Lonnie Walker. All these three-point shoot. No, they didn't go get nobody to create any kind of spacing for LeBron and AD, who are the best players. Russ clearly can't shoot. He just woke up one day and decided, I'm going to be ass. Like, I'm just not going to shoot the ball well, right? So, like, the team is constructed poorly. None of the pieces fit together. Anthony Davis, every time he tripped, you cringe. See, last night he had a putback against Denver. He kind of tweaked his back, and you went, oh, hell, right? Like, LeBron is 38, and he's the best player. For all the LeBron stands to lie, this is why he's to go. I ain't about that. But the guy really is 38 in his 20th season, and he's expected to be the best player. That's not a winning formula. When has it ever been? Like, this team is horrible. I'm going to ride with him. We still going to rock the Lakers gear. We ain't taking none of this stuff down out the man cave, but we suck. No, we can't fix it. We're 1-5. We're going to have a losing record all year. They'll have some stretches where they look good because they're talented. Like LeBron is LeBron, AD is AD. Like they'll have moments where you're like, oh, man, those guys are good. But we're going to suck all year. no shooting, no defense. Like, we're just a poorly constructed team, and it's going to stay that way all year unless we move somebody.
All right. So then let me ask you, John Scheer, about the Brooklyn Nets. Are the Brooklyn Nets in trouble, or can they actually fix this?
Of course they can fix it. I mean, they got Kyrie and they got KD, and that's all you really need. It doesn't mean they're going to win a championship, but it means that they definitely can be a top 6 seed. Like if those guys ball out and they're not hurt, you got to stay healthy. And those guys got to really carry the team because there's not a whole lot else around them. But if those guys do what we know that they can do, they can be a 6th seed. They could be a 5th seed. Like they can knock one of those teams that Ray was talking about that should be in the top 5, top 6. They can push one of those teams to the play-in tournament. Like they can easily do that if those two guys ball out like they can and stay healthy. But that's a big ask because it's just really them. Like there's not a whole lot. But with anytime you got KD and Kyrie, like you have a chance to win any game because those guys are so great. They're eventually going to be Hall of Famers. So, I mean, I'm not worried about them. Like I said, anytime you got those guys, I ain't worried.
Hey, John, like lately in KD's career, he's had to kind of, he's played the role of, he's played with great players. Like when he was in Golden State, he didn't have to do as much. Like, do you think for Brooklyn to like really be successful, KD probably gonna have to average like around 32?
Him and Kyrie are gonna have to. Like, is there only formula?
I know. I just want you to know that up to before tonight, right? KD was averaging 32, 5 and 4 on 51% shooting. Kyrie was averaging 31, 5 and 5 on 48% shooting, and they were 1 and 5.
Yeah, but eventually
that ain't enough.
Eventually, the law of averages it'll even itself out with the law of averages.
The law of averages mean they ain't gonna do that all year neither.
No, it does. Because eventually the way sports work is when you are statistically great like that, eventually it's gonna even itself out. Like you ain't gonna stay 1 and 5 type of
Eric.
It's gonna even itself out eventually.
Eric, I don't know if you're a religious man, but you can say praise the Lord, hallelujah. They got that problem away from us. Because the problem in Brooklyn is that other guy won't shoot the ball. Like he just won't shoot it. I've never seen nothing like that.
Ben, shoot it. Ben,
shoot it. I'm not shooting no more.
When he left and went 101 miles from the Spectrum.
It was the best 101 miles of Eric's life.
I would have paid the Uber trip on that one. I'd have been like, charge it and take 100% tip too. Take him.
Go figure. He didn't play tonight and they won. Go figure.
Okay. That let that speak.
Greatness
for
always overcomes the other mediocrity on the team.
Yeah, but greatness ain't we're gonna come. Ben Simmons not shooting. Mike, talk to me about the Clippers, man.
Yeah, man, the Clippers. I was excited about the. From just the basketball aspect, seeing if John Wall could obviously play with Paul George and Kawhi Leonard. It's like, man, I like the bench. They got a solid coach. It's not good news for the Suns, but it'll make for some more fun games. And I gotta say, I mean that is surprising to me. And again, it's one of those things, like I said, with Trae Young and DeJounte Murray. John Wall, yes, has to get with those guys. And John Wall and John, you've said this many times, obviously didn't play like all last year anyway, didn't want to play in Houston, wanted no business of it. And that was that. But of the three up there, Eric, I mean, to me, that's the team that definitely can turn it around the most. And yeah, I agree with Mike Patton saying there, until Kawhi can play 2 games in a row, which we know Kawhi will definitely, it worked for Toronto when they won a title, but you get behind the 8 ball too much. The opposite side, we were talking about the other teams' consistency. Like I said, with Utah, it's gonna be tough for the Clippers. But of those three, I'm saying it's definitely the Clippers that have the biggest upside, because I think John Wall's game fits well there. Paul George, again, always been a big Paul George fan anyway. And yeah, if Kawhi will play more than 2 games in a row, that's going to be huge for him. But I mean, with Brooklyn, I mean, I know they're getting Seth Curry back and Joe Harris too. But that's why I asked you that question this morning too, Eric. Like, if they don't play defense, they're not out. John, you're talking about law of averages. They're not going to outscore everybody 150 to 140 every night because there's teams like
Actually,
Milwaukee.
if your
like
two
Philly-
best players put up over 30 a night like that,
And
eventually
that's
it's going
fine,
to
but they're the
even
only two that
itself
are
out.
doing it, and they don't play any defense.
No, I understand that, Mike, but like I said, law of averages, it will even itself out.
And John, to your law of averages, and to piggyback off Ray Lynn's point, to me that puts them in the play-in if they're lucky. But for the Clippers, Eric, just to wrap up on them, that would be the biggest shock to me out of everything. And Ray going hard at his Lakers saying they suck. That would be the biggest shock to me is if the Clippers just stay at that level. I mean, knock on wood. Again, I don't. You know me. No matter what team, I don't want to see injuries. I don't see any of that crap. I want these guys on the court, field, whatever. But for the Clippers, I want them on the court. Of those three teams, the Clippers to me are the biggest success because, like Ray said, with the Lakers, I mean, you have all those point guards. Russ can't shoot. They can't get along. Anthony Davis has missed in 3 seasons. He's missed 82 games, Ray. It was something ridiculous. In 3 seasons, he's missed like a season of basketball. So that's just tough. So I think the Clippers turn it around the most.
Let me ask you a question real quick, Mike.
Yeah.
It's 82 games in a season, right?
Right.
It's not a setup. I'm just curious. I mean, it's kind of a setup, but I really want to know, what do you consider a healthy season? Like, what's the cutoff for games played? There are 82 games in a season. If you play less than this number, you missed a lot of games. Or how many games missed is considered? That's a lot of games to miss in a season.
A lot. I'm going to go with half the season. I'm going to go anything over 41. I'd say 41's a lot.
Okay, I think that's like if you miss more than half, you were injured. You didn't play. But I'm talking about like a guy that's playing, like you go like he's injury prone, like he missed this many games.
I would say if I can interject here, if he missed anywhere between 16 to 20.
I'd say I was going to say 22 to 30. I was going to say 22 to 30.
I would say play at least 7.
If you want an exact number, Ray, I'll just give you an exact number for this conversation. If you miss more than 15 games,
that's fair.
That to me is too much.
I'm gonna go with 20.
I'm gonna use 20. E. I'm gonna use E because it fit my point better.
Okay.
15 games in an 82 game season puts you at 66 games played, right? 67 games played, right? People act like this is new. Trivia question for you, Mike. Kawhi Leonard came into the league in 2011. How many times do you think he's played more than 66 games?
Twice.
That's it.
Twice.
This isn't new, right? He had 2 years where he played 70 plus games.
We didn't set that up. I just remembered. We didn't set that up.
That's what I thought twice as well.
He's been doing this since before, like his early years in San Antonio, he was injury prone. Then he had those 2 really good years where everybody wanted to anoint him one of the best players in the game. And then he went back to being injury prone. And like people are like, man, if Kawhi's on the court, Kawhi's never on the court. Like people will kill AD for not playing. Kawhi's never healthy, ever. Like missed all
last year. If he stubs his toe, he's like, I know my body.
I'm not killing AD. I'm just saying what he missed. I love AD.
Not Michael Cartenuto. Sports media in general, right? Like street clothes. One of my homeboys say AD stands for always down. You know, like it's all kind of stuff they say about AD. Yeah. But Kawhi gets this treatment where it's like, oh man, if he could just like he ain't new. He came in the league in 2011. He's been in the league 10 years. He ain't never healthy. He's been healthy twice. Right. Rest of the time he missed 15, 16, 20, 30, 40 games.
You know why I remember that, Ray? Because and again, it was a different time, but somebody posted like Michael Jordan and John Stockton's games per year next to Kawhi Leonard's, and John Stockton only didn't play 82 like twice in his career. And again, a different era, I get it, but it's just it's crazy to me because you see those numbers then, and like we've talked about before, the physicality, how the game was different. And yes, 3-point shooting wasn't obviously the art and as important as it is now. But
Mike, is that a highlighter in your hand?
Yes, it is.
Yeah. Just show everybody this is a highlighter. Just hold it up so everybody sees.
Sorry. It's happening.
All right.
It's
so really quick, before we get to our last topic here tonight, I want to make sure I do this and show some love. This brother right here, you see him with the crown on his head, sports reporter without pay, Ray Lynn, 11-4 this week in our weekly pick'ems.
Does that include tonight?
Can I say
that includes
something?
tonight? That does include tonight's game.
Cleveland was Eric.
Can I say something?
And I'm still under 500.
I had the Atlanta Falcons, Detroit Lions of weeks. I was 8-1, and I absolutely Detroit Lioned it or Atlanta Falconed it to the max. I was 8-1, and I finished 9-6 or 9-5 or whatever. I completely melted down. I pretended to be a Detroit Lion for the 4:00 games on.
All right. Okay.
Time out.
See.
So as long as John understand, like if you talking to one of your friends and your mother done pissed you off, or your wife done pissed you off, or your best friend done pissed you off, and you go, man, this mother, and you going off. And the minute they say something, you go, hey, hold on, slow your roll. I can talk about my mama, you can't. I can talk about my wife, you can't.
Right.
Watch your lips over there talking about my Lions, John. I can talk about them as much as I want to.
I'm talking about me. I melted down. My pants melted down. 4 o'clock.
No.
But don't use the analogy
as an analogy. Don't use us as your example to talk about how bad you were.
Don't do that. Don't do that, John. Because you know what? Just like I can't pick 1 o'clock games, you can't pick 4 o'clock games. So I'm just letting you know, okay? So if me and John were one person, we'd be dominating this whole entire season.
You got to run in tally, E?
I have to finish it out tonight.
Okay.
But I'll make sure I let everybody know where you're still. I mean, John had a
sizable lead.
By like 4 games on Mike, I think it is Mike and Megan or something.
I don't know. I have to pull it up, and I mean I can.
This
is what I'll do. This is what I'll do. Ray, the last segment is all you, sir. So I'm gonna give you the screen, and when you finish, I'm gonna come back with the running total so that everybody can see them. So my man, the sports reporter without pay, he posted this earlier this week, talking about which one of these 4 gentlemen, how they evolve. So the question tonight that we are going to ask Ray, and Ray, you got to give us one. Who is going to make their very first All-Star appearance based on these 4 gentlemen that you yourself, sir, talked about in your blog?
It's Tyrese Maxey. I'm sure Erica liked that answer. It's Tyrese Maxey, and it's for a multitude of reasons. So the reason I made that post, man, I like thinking outside the box. Everybody look at the stars. We're all going to talk about the under 25 guys, right? The conversation all year is going to be Tatum, Luka, and John Morant. You can throw Devin Booker in there too. Like, those guys are going to get all kind of pub all year. Their teams are winning games. They're going to put up crazy numbers. They're going to be an MVP race. But these are those guys that second level, that second tier, were like they're young, rising, possible future stars in this league. They all young 2 guards. They all can score. They can fill it up. And I was just like, was a weird, interesting comparison to me. So Jordan Poole is going to be in the shadow of those great Hall of Famers he's playing with until those guys get old and leave. He'll have his moments, but he'll never truly shine and get the credit he deserves as long as Steph Curry's there, because it's always going to be the Steph Curry show, and he's going to be, as I like to call, one of those side dishes, right? Tyler Hero, my apologies, John, has been one of the biggest disappointments since about 3 years ago in the bubble, when we saw him, he hit the shot and he was like, he had the little scowl. Like, he got some dog in him and he was hooping. We expect him to come back these last 2 years and evolve. We didn't see it 2 years ago. We kind of saw it last year with him coming off the bench, averaging like close to 20. But it's like, you don't see his game growing. Like, I expected him and Bam to be taking the reins from Jimmy by now. That's what I expected to happen in Miami, and I don't see it. Tyler Hero, he's going to score. With Miami losing, I don't see him getting the kind of recognition that I think the other 2 guys are going to get. Desmond Bane is going to get a lot of recognition because he's the number 2 in Memphis. The problem is he's a guard in the Western Conference, right? Like, so if you're talking about making an all-star team and you're a guard in the Western Conference, you're talking about Luka Doncic, you're talking about John Morant, you're talking about Devin Booker, you're talking about Steph Curry, you're talking about Dame Lillard, who's on a y'all must have forgot tour, right? You're talking about CJ McCollum, who's playing. You're talking about a lot of guys. You have Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, a lot of guys you got to compete with just to possibly get a spot. So Desmond Bane is kind of facing the same battle that CJ McCollum has faced for the past 7-8 years. You're good, but the West is just loaded on guard talent, which leaves us with Tyrese Maxey, who on a lot of nights looks like the best player wearing a Philly uniform. We saw him drop like 44 the other night. You saw him tonight. I don't know if you saw the stat line. Harden had 23 points and 17 assists. Maxey had 28. They won with no Joel Embiid. Like, in a couple of nights now, we've seen Maxey look like the go-to guy. The thing for him is he's going to have to find his niche, and Doc is going to have to find a way to keep him involved when Harden and Embiid are both on the floor. They have to realize that we got to call this kid number sometime. He can't be an afterthought. He got to call his number sometime. But Maxey can go out and give you anywhere between 18 to 22 a game. He defends at a high level. He shoots the ball well. And Philly's going to be right there in the mix. And it's not as many guards in the East for him to compete with as it is. You have your Kyrie and Donovan Mitchell and Trey, but it's not loaded like those guards in the West. So if Philly can continue to win and Maxey plays the way he's playing, I see him being the first out of those guys to make an all-star game.
Awesome. Appreciate that, brother.
Preach
Raylan,
on.
I just want to point this out, that Harrow's stats He has almost 2 rebounds more per game this year, assist and a half less per game than last year. He's shooting the ball higher percentage, and he's averaging a point less. So his stats are about the same as last year. So I don't know what you're talking about. He's only gotten better each year statistically.
So again, if you go back to the bubble year, what he did in the playoffs, we expected when he came back the next year, we expected to see this growth in Hero. He only averaged about 15 that following year,
but there is
right?
also a lot of immaturity off the court too.
That's fine. I'm just telling you what it was. So then he comes last year and he's off the bench and he kind of pouts and it leaked that he wanted to start. So now he's starting and the numbers look good, but now Miami's 2-5. So it's like, yeah, the numbers are great, but we talk about if we're gonna make an all-star game first, sitting at 2-5, that ain't gonna cut it. So Miami gonna have to start winning. And then the problem with that is I think for Miami to win, Jimmy has to go back to being Jimmy, which kind of puts Hero slightly on the back burner. Like for Miami to be competitive, the best 2 players on the floor need to be Jimmy Butler and Bam right now, until Hero takes that next step. So, ain't no knock on Hero. It's just who I think is going to possibly make an all-star game first.
Preach on, because Eric knows the Sixers are the only Philly team ever since Allen Iverson that I say, yeah, if they're doing good, I'm good with it. But the way Maxi's playing is phenomenal. Eric, I got to leave you on this funny. Did you see the opening to Monday Night Football?
I didn't. I was preparing for the show tonight.
Well, I'm just saying, I was doing the same. I was multitasking, and I watched
late.
But so in the opening, they did like a Halloween opening, and it made me think of Alex, because the first thing they showed about the Browns was the fumble with Ernest Biner against the Broncos, saying it'll be a spooky night. And I couldn't stop laughing because it's a Browns thing. It's irrelevant since then. Whoever put the spooky piece, they had all the spooky Halloween stuff and scary movie things and filters. But the first shot, Eric, was Biner fumbling the ball on a spooky night was the opening.
AE.
Yeah.
You'll be happy to hear this, and I'm going to give him some more props. Here's some stats for you. Right now, this is before tonight's game because it ain't updated yet. And he had 28 tonight on solid shooting. Before tonight's game, Maxey was averaging 23 on 50 from the field and 47 from 3. Let that sink in for a second.
Yes.
47.
And again, I'm gonna show love because y'all asked for the overall results. Here are the overall results. So there is a 10-game differential between first and last place. Mike and Ray are only 4 games behind you, John. Then our Queen of Hoops, then my man Big Guard, and then myself last. And as I said before, I will damn sure be last every single week in the weekly pick'ems as long as the Eagles are winning. It don't bother me, not near netta. But I will say that for Monday night games, the last 2 weeks, I can say
I don't know how you're doing it.
I'm the lone wolf, baby, because I believe in Justin Fields, number one, and number two, someone got to pick against Cincinnati. And I knew Jamar Chase being out 4 to 6 weeks because of his hip injury. I knew that, yes, Tyler Boyd, T. Higgins, they were going to play a factor. But Myles Garrett and Jacoby Brissett, defensive and offensively, they're just – plus the game was in Cleveland. If it was
Eric,
in Cincinnati –
And Eric, to plus that, the point to Ray's point earlier about how the Niners are now 8-0 against the Rams in the last 8 preseason games.
Yeah.
Cleveland came in with the 6-game winning streak against the Bengals.
So Eric, John, do me a favor. Since you don't since you don't got to pick against your Eagles this Sunday, you're going to pick for the Eagles because they play Thursday. Whatever your instinct is, 1:00 games. Whenever you go to pick them, put the opposite.
But John,
1:00, every single one.
No, John,
your instinct, your gut says go Cleveland or whatever. Pick the opposite.
John, time out. Listen to me. Here's the thing, though. You got to remember. I almost picked Atlanta, but I switched in my brain. I almost picked Tennessee, but I switched in my brain. So I get what you're saying. Go with your gut. You're saying flip the script. I'm saying I'm already doing that. So I just need to go with what my first initial thought is and let the chips fall where they may for the 1:00 games. Ladies and gentlemen, that is going to do it for us on the Sports Arena. Thank you so much for rocking with us all night long. Don't forget, next Monday night, the halftime show's own Cortland Griffin will be in the building. Look at him right there, cheesing and grinning. But we got something for him when he come on the show next Monday night. So for Ray, my co-host, for my man Blue Hawks 13, Sideline Sports on John Shear, my man, my brother of 15 years, the left coast, the west coast, Forks Up, Arizona State University's own Mike Caratenuto, for our Queen of Hoops, Megan Price, and the Big Guard. We will see y'all Wednesday night, and then the 4 of us, 3 and Cortland, back on Monday. We might do all 5. I don't know. We're going to play this one out because I might need some help. Anyhow, Sports Arena, we love y'all. We out.